So managing the stress of investors, managing the stress of employees, managing the stress of your customers. So it's all about stress management. So you have to be strong. I think you have to be focused. But more than that, you need to be positive and believe that tomorrow will be better than today, because otherwise, I think you cannot succeed.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the VC4A Founder Series. This is a podcast where startup founders share their stories of resilience and answer questions about the challenges and opportunities encountered during their entrepreneurship journey. This series is a collection of conversations with founders highlighting the ingenuity required to thrive in uncertain markets, make it through high-friction situations, and pass crises. Each episode highlights a different founder and the unique set of challenges they are facing. My name is David Coleman. I am the growth lead at VC4A, and I will be your host. Welcome to another episode of the Founder Series. Today, we're happy to have Matthias Papet. Welcome.
Thank you, David, for having me.
How are you?
I'm fine. Like a Friday.
Yes. So, I always like to get straight into it. We don't want to take up too much of your time. So you run a company called CoinAfrique, and CoinAfrique is a peer-to-peer classified marketplace. But tell us, what does that entail?
And basically, our fuel, our DNA is to make a match between sellers and buyers in a geolocalized mobile marketplace. So our goal as a company is to help our sellers to develop their business online, and as buyers to make good deals and find the right product at the right price next to them. So this is really about like matching people, like a dating marketplace. We are a business marketplace, and we've started 4 years ago now.
How many markets are you operating in right now?
I mean, we are operating in. I mean, the target markets are sub-Saharan Francophone Africa, meaning West and Central Africa, Francophone countries. So we are talking about 12 countries across the region, a total population of, I think, 300 million people. So the service is available in 12 countries, but we have a clear focus on 5 different markets, from Senegal to Benin, Togo, Ivory Coast, and Cameroon. So this is the country where we have salespeople on the ground, on the field, and we are operating on a daily basis. Whereas in Mali or Burkina, this is a pure online model, so we don't have people, but the marketplace is there and growing. So.
Okay. So before CoinAfrique, Matthias was doing other things, surely, leading up to it, building up the understandings, the learnings that would probably lead to starting CoinAfrique. But so what was that journey? What were you doing before CoinAfrique?
I have a business degrees. I should say the first 15 years of my career was really like big corporation, doing various positions as an e-commerce director, online marketing manager in big companies as Air France, Google, Trois Suisses. And before turning 40, I've realized that there was a need somewhere inside me who wanted to become an entrepreneur. So before turning 40, I made it in 2 moves, in 2 ways, in 2 steps. The first step was coming from a big Google position at Google, and then I took a position like what we call intrapreneur. So I was working for an German investment fund. They made an acquisition of a company in Germany, and my goal was to roll out their business in Southern Europe, so France, Spain, and Italy. And I was my own manager. So basically, I started from my own house, and then I rent an office, and I recruited the first guy. But that was not my money, so that was not my full risk. That was like what I call now my entrepreneurship MBA. So that was like the first experience of intrapreneur. And then when I turned 40, decided to work for myself. And this is when the idea of CoinAfrique in French came up. So that's basically my journey, a pure corporate position within big groups to my own boss, and starting a new journey after like 15 years of delivering results for others. it was my timing to start my own company and start this new journey.
Okay, but CoinAfrique is where you are now, but you had an idea that you had to develop, build a team, all of that. What was that? What was that? How did that evolve?
I mean, the initial idea was, I think it was a dinner with a close friend who was working in the classified business. He's like the VP, the deputy general manager of a big, successful classified marketplace in France called Le Bon Coin. So we had a dinner with friend and he about the size and the profitability of the business. So that was basically a vertical that I've never been aware of. So somewhere it rang a bell, and at the same time it rang another bell related to Africa. I used to live in a small island called Reunion Island next to Madagascar. I used to travel a lot in Africa as a tourist. So that was a match of a business model and on a region. So I've started to make my homework, making market analysis, and quite quickly discovered that the market was not quite covered in Francophone Africa when it comes to classified. So for me, there was an opportunity. So the first initial idea was to make a beautiful PowerPoint and to raise money. But quite quickly, I've realized that you cannot raise money with a PowerPoint. It's not possible. So I've decided to invest myself, to put my own money on the table. I was able to get some cash from my previous life, so I decided to invest my own money and to do what I used to do when I was working for Google, making a live test. So I put my money. I have decided that to build a service in Africa, it needs to be developed by people in Africa. So I took like 3-4 months to travel in Africa, in Francophone Africa, in Gabon, in Cameroon, in Ivory Coast, and in Senegal, to find the right partners to develop the service. And I found a good partner in Senegal, 2 very smart guys, one from Benin and one from Togo. And then those 2 guys started to develop the first application. And once we finished the development, we decided to launch it on the market and to test if there was some traction. And there was some traction in some countries, but good traction in one country, which is Benin. So we've started from there to learn how to make traction out of one market before growing, raising money, and so on the next step of the journey. But that's clearly a dinner and a personal timing that make me take this path.
So, but this is interesting. How did you find the developers? How did was it through your network, or because that was a big thing? If you didn't find the right people, it would have slowed you down. How did you find them?
I mean, through the network. Basically, the Google network is quite a good network. I think this is a key message to convey to entrepreneurs. Network is key to source the right talent, to source the right investors, to source the right partners. So, and the fact that I'm a young entrepreneur with kind of experience, I think it's quite a good asset. Even if it's a different journey when you start your own company, when you turn 20 or when you turn 40, I think the 20 years of difference makes a difference. I'm not saying that you cannot build a successful company if you're 25, but when you're 40, it's a different asset in a way. So yeah, it was the partnership has been given through my own network, and then we started, and then we put the first Android app in the app stores in the Play Store, and see some traction in Benin. Then we decided to spend the rest of the money that was remaining in trying to build traction in one country and see if we can show traction. Then we can start raising funds. So that's the way we've built the company. And afterwards, we did 2 financial rounds after the initial investment. And the story behind is also one of the initial investors has become a partner of the company. So he's a co-founder of the company, but he started with investment and then he joined the business as a full operation executive in the company. So that's where the story begins.
That's a pretty big vote of confidence when your investor becomes a partner, right?
Yeah, but I think, I mean, it's not only about entrepreneurship, it's about life. Timing is king. So at one stage of your life, some people want to do different things. If you are the right timing, you could do stuff together. It's like with a woman. It's a question of timing. You could meet a beautiful woman in a way, but if the timing is not right, nothing will happen. And if the timing is right, it could be a long life story. So same thing in a business. I think timing is key. So this is where we started, and the journey was quite long. It's quite long because you're making steps after steps after steps. There is few guys who can build Facebook or Google. These are the successful guy, which really give some positive insight in the ecosystem. But the reality of becoming an entrepreneur, it's a quite tough. You have to take different position. You have to pivot anytime. You're always, and the situation right now, it's probably increasingly more complex. But that's a journey, and I think if you want to live happy as an entrepreneur, you have to accept that it is a journey. Yeah. You don't know, as the question is not really about the destination, it's about the journey itself. Becoming rich or becoming successful or for some people it's a key driver, but for me the journey is probably more interesting than the destination, because otherwise you cannot manage the stress that managing a company is giving you.
Yeah, I totally agree. But as in building CoinAfrique and expanding, there would have been things that you'd be looking out for. Where were the milestones or the points at which you started to get excited? Like, okay, this is a real opportunity. It is really scalable. There's probably competition, but what happened along the way to give you the confidence to feel this really can become what I think, what I built up in my head?
I have to say, as a person, I'm always exciting. So I was excited day one, finding the project, then finding the partners. I think the most exciting time for me was when we started having traction, saying that there is a market fit. There are sellers and buyers that are using your service, that are selling, so you have an impact on the ground. I think the reason also why I've created CoinAfrique, if I put the entrepreneur journey itself, was and is to make an impact, a local impact in Africa at scale. I think the more we get some impact, the more I'm becoming excited. So, but we should say that in my own journey, in CoinAfrique journey, I can see there is 3 different steps. The first one was the proof of concept in Benin, when it started to produce some traction and match between users and sellers. That's clearly one. The second one was the first fundraise, and then notice that you can convince some investors to join you without having proving a lot, just traction. So there is a need, there is a potential, but there is a product. But revenue-wise and usage-wise, it's still very early. And I think the last step, which is very exciting, it's when you have the capability of attracting talented people. It means that people start trusting that there is a potential in your business. So if you can attract some talented people, it means also that people are also believe that there is a match. And I think that's the 3 step I can describe as of today. I guess there will be, and I hope so, other interesting step. But I have to say the COVID one is a very, very interesting step, because as an entrepreneur, I think for everybody, employees, entrepreneur, investors, this is a very tough situation, because you cannot predict anything. You're managing your company short term. Cash is really king. You have to take tough and harsh decision because you need to survive. So I'm the next step is, I think the next step will be once the COVID will be behind us. This is how I can see.
Let's talk about that for a bit, because this has been a challenging year on almost every level. So the relationships that you had built with your investors, with your customers, you now have to reassess your business. How did you manage all of these relationships, and how did to work in your favor in a very difficult time?
I think, I mean, the most difficult part is to be lucid on what you're really delivering, the value that you're bringing to your customer. So I think this is, I remember I used to work for a brilliant guy in New York, a guy from India, one of my mentor in terms of business. And he told me once, it was in the airline industry. So the airline industry, you're used to have crisis all the time. And he told me something that I still remember it. When you're lost, ask your customer. I think this is really what the first step. You should start by asking yourself, what is the value added, the value proposition that I'm offering them? I think you should revisit fully your model. That's one. The second thing is you should define clearly and very quickly the direction to the team. You cannot lose weeks, so you can be very efficient in terms of explaining fully transparently what is at stake. The company is at stake, so you should be very transparent and very honest in communicating the issues, but also the way you see how you're gonna successfully reach the next milestone. So revisiting your customer value, defining the new vision that should not be your 5 years vision, but your next 3 quarters, because this is, I think the question is for us is to manage 3 quarters. Having 3 quarters of vision is enough in the environment where we are. Assessing all your costs very, very quickly and cutting your cost very, very quickly. So as far as CoinAfrique is concerned, we've decided to downsize Cameroon, to downsize marketing budget, to postpone some key projects, and to reorganize fully the roadmap. And we had 2 weeks to do it. So between March 15 and April 15, we had 2 weeks to reassess everything and redesign the roadmap, which on our case is a clear focus on increasing the revenue of our platform, because we were at the stage where we have started monetizing the audience a few quarters ago. So basically, we decided to put all our efforts to cut costs and to focus all the company to deliver revenue, because this is the way we can survive. It's all about surviving right now for all startups. If you put Google, Facebook, Amazon aside, all companies are into survival mode, which also give us fresh air, because you don't have to have a long meetings or conversation of how would you, no. You need to make revenues. That's clear. This is the goal. This is the cash burn. This is where we need to go. If we don't reach this target, we are dead. So I think that's also an effort of transparency with your team to give them the real situation. So everybody feels we are on board. There is a mission to deliver. It's achievable, but we need to work. We need to deliver. We need to take good decision. I think this is what we did quite successfully. We will see in 2 quarters if the decision we took in April, if we're still alive in April, it will mean that we had successfully managed the situation. And as any crisis, it's also open opportunities to recruit talent, opportunities to enter a new business, and also opportunities to make new partnership, because we're all on the same boat as entrepreneur. Even if we are competitors, we can discuss some stuff. So it also gives us, I think, a lot of opportunity. But you need to be strong in your mind, in your head, because you have to manage the stress as a founder, as a CEO. You have to manage the stress of everybody, your investors. Uh, for investors right now, the situation is probably very difficult because they are reassessing all their assets. Is it a COVID compliant business? Are the founder of this company able to manage this step? What is the cash situation? What is the return on investment on the fund, and where do I stay? So managing the stress of investors, managing the stress of employees, managing the stress of your customers. So it's all about stress management. So you have to be strong. I think you have to be focused. But more than that, you need to be positive and believe that tomorrow will be better than today, because otherwise, I think you cannot succeed. So you have to be strong.
Especially during this year, I'm sure there have been a lot of your competitors who probably had somewhat similar models, other marketplaces that have not are not making it through this period. CoinAfrique is doing pretty well. You know, fingers crossed, everything is going well from all the statistics. So, what do you think makes CoinAfrique unique? What is that core differentiator or differentiators that allows you to do better in a tough situation than maybe others?
I think there is different answer as to this question. The first one is, I think in the COVID situation, the trust that you can build with your investors, because what is at stake for everybody is to be cash flow positive. I mean, to have enough cash to stay alive. So I think this is you have a lot of different factors in terms of product, users experience, but at the end of the day, the situation, what makes you different is the level of cash you have in the bank account. So to be funded enough and to be able to ask some bridge to your investors, you need to have built trust. And to build trust, it takes time to build trust. I think it takes transparency and honesty. There is good news and there is bad news, but you should give both. So I think what we call unfair competitive advantage as of today is your capability to get cash, to get funded, or to get funded. We are not a profitable company, so we need to be funded to grow. So if you want to be funded, you need to build trust with your investors, and you need also to be able to be agile and reassess every quarter or every month your business, and show your investor that, okay, there is light at the end of the corridor. Because the competitive environment is going to be very different. I guess in 1 year, it will be very different from what it is now. So give them also hope that you will be the one that will be survive. And at the end of the day, you will be the one who will take the market. Because as a peer-to-peer mobile marketplace, our initial vision and goal is to become a clear leader in Francophone Africa for on those 12 markets, so that you can reach this goal, even if it will take more time or if you take a different path. But clearly, at this stage of the project with the COVID situation, this is really the trust that you can build with your investors and, of course, with your team, because they should be empowered. And that's also, as a founder, one of my learning during the COVID, that you cannot manage the stress by yourself, alone. Even if we have founders and we have a very good management team, you need also to convey the stress to the team. They should understand what is at stake at this stage of the project, but they're adults, so they need to know and they are able to understand. And I think that's a good way of empowering everybody and saying that we are on the same boat. This is where we want to go. This is the cash level we have. This is the runway we have. So if we want to have a better win rate, we need to reach this milestone, and that's going to be the next milestone, and so on and so on. But that's as an entrepreneur, I guess for everybody entrepreneur or CEOs of any company, the situation is quite tricky.
Yeah.
It's quite
So
tricky.
as you move forward, a lot has changed. You've had to reassess your business, how it works, the resources, the people that you have in it. What is going to be different about CoinAfrique moving forward? What have you learned that is going to shape the way you do business moving forward? Is it a smaller team? Is it a wider product offering? What is changing?
I mean, we took a very harsh and tough decision in March. We were running a freemium model, started to implement some new revenue stream, and we had planned different quarters the next stream that are coming, and we decided to completely shift the roadmap and focusing on revenue generation. So we made a full pivot of the model in 2 months. It was a free platform for users with the capability for them to buy some boost to boost their ads. And we went from this model to a monetized model where you still have some free ads to post, but you need to pay if you want to post more than 5 ads per month. So it's a full change of the model, meaning that we now getting 50% less ads than 2 months before. The number of contacts per ad, so what we call liquidity, has been multiplied by 3, and the revenue has been multiplied by 2. So we are in a model of a pivot, and we are learning every month. So maybe in 3 months the new model will be stabilized, and we will have made what we believe we will make. So basically double the revenue, or not. But we don't have time to. We have no time to take another year to decide what will be the model. We need to take the decision and to focus on the execution. So this is where we are.
There are a lot of entrepreneurs that are struggling in this period. What do you think is good advice for a startup, a founder who is still a bit, dizzy with all that is going on internally, externally within their business, and of course, everybody's got a personal life as well. It's a lot.
It's a lot. A lot. I have to say, it's a lot. I think my first advice would be trust yourself. And it's not so easy. And I think it's difficult when you're 20 or 25, if you're a young entrepreneur. Very difficult to trust yourself in very difficult environment. But I think this is key. If you want to be good at what you do, you should start by trusting yourself. Because if you don't trust yourself, investors, employees, talent will not trust you. I think this is very important to keep on trusting yourself. That's one. And I think the second advice is to be very looking at your situation very honestly. Don't overestimate stuff or don't underestimate stuff. Trying to be very honest in the way you're looking at your business, meaning your customers, your value proposition, your KPIs. Some are good, some are bad, but that's important to look at both ways. So my recommendation for a young entrepreneur, for any entrepreneur, with my own perspective, would be those two things: trust yourself and be very honest with yourself, and the rest will come. If I can give advice, because each situation is different, my own path is different from yours and from many different entrepreneurs, but I think the situation is very complex. But crisis is also an opportunity. You can also speed up in the crisis, but don't bullshit yourself in a way, and trust yourself. That's probably the two honest advice I should give, because trust is fundamental in this environment, in this context. And if you trust yourself, investor will trust you, your employee will trust you. So that's my two advice. And I think my third advice will be don't spend any euros or dollars or francs, which is not needed. Keep your cash in the bank. Don't spend without fully trying to see what will be the return of each investment, each recruitment, each features on the service. Will it bring something really special, or will it make a huge impact? It's all about return on your invested dollars or euro or franc. So be very, very cautious, because maybe your service is not the best, maybe your value proposition is not the best, but you can survive, and it's all about surviving. So cash is king and queen in a way. So that would be my three advices with my own perspective, which is quite specific. It cannot fit to everybody, but that would be my advices.
Excellent. Well, Matthias, thank you so much for making the time. I know it's a really busy period for you, so we appreciate you taking the time to have this chat with us.
Thank you, David, and thank you to VC4A. Thank you for the good work that you're doing in evangelizing the investors in the potential of Africa. So everything we could make as a company, or myself as a person, to try to give lights on the continent as a good spot for investment, I'll be more than happy to help. Thank you, David.
I appreciate
Have a wonderful Friday.
Yes, you too. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All the best. Bye-bye.
Au revoir.
Thanks for joining us today. If you're a startup founder looking for practical tips, check out the Startup Academy or connect directly with industry-leading experts through the mentorship marketplace. Be sure to keep an eye out for new programs and opportunities we make available as VC4A, or boost your capital raising efforts by registering a fundraising campaign request. Our services are free for entrepreneurs, so be sure to sign up at vc4a.com. Subscribe to our podcast and join us again next time. Till then, work smart and stay safe.